Hey, welcome to another Tactical YouTube video. Today we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about the events that began to unfold yesterday around noon Pacific time in San Bernardino, California, as it relates to mass shootings and what I believe is a completely new level of mass shooter type incident in the U.S. It's not new in the grand scheme of things or globally, but here in the U.S., this is something that myself and some of my colleagues have predicted would be coming our way. And as of yesterday, I think we can safely say that we've turned a corner here, and it's something that needs to be addressed. The first thing I want to do, so that you understand where we're going with this, so I want to talk about how we can be better prepared for this. My experience is not just in the U.S., not just in law enforcement. I have traveled the world working in both law enforcement capacity as a trainer and also running protective details against these very people. This is a new level of lone wolf terrorism here, in the sense that you had a couple shooters and they were very well armed, but they also didn't commit suicide. They didn't plan to die at that scene, which would indicate to me that they knew what their time frame was. So they got in. This shooting occurred in less than 2 minutes, and they were gone, and they made their escape. This is still an evolving situation. This is, I mean, right now, as I make this video, there is still information that's being released. The investigators are still there. So as this is going on, I want to kind of talk to you and ask this question. Well, what can we learn from this? Now, it's very early in this incident, so I want to be very, very careful about projecting an opinion because I don't have all the facts. But what can we learn from this? What can you learn from this? What could you take from what you know right now and say, oh my goodness, am I ready? Am I prepared? What would I do? Let me just kind of put myself in this situation, and why don't you just come with me and imagine that we're in this room, this conference room at a Christmas party. Now, the way that I work is I live tactically. And that's something that I try and promote to a lot of my followers. Live tactically. There's a difference between being prepared and being paranoid. And when you're prepared, believe it or not, you live a life that is so much more fulfilling, because you don't have, in the back of your mind, you're not wondering, oh, am I ready for, any given situation. So let's come back to that. If I am at a Christmas party in a room, I know ahead of time where the exits are. I've looked around in the room and I've said, okay, what in this room constitutes cover, meaning something that could actually stop a round, versus concealment, just something to hide behind. A lot of times you might find yourself like at a party in an environment where there probably isn't a lot of cover. So therefore, knowing where those exits are so I can make a quick escape if something happens, that's a little bit more important. Now, there's 3 things that have to happen. These 3 things that I'm about to tell you, they happen for everybody. Regardless of who you are and how well you're trained, you're going to have to take 3 steps in a critical incident no matter what. You have to recognize, assess, and react to the situation. But a police officer, or some of our military, or even some of our EMS people, they've trained themselves to not waste time in the process. What I'm talking about is lag time. Meaning, if I'm at this Christmas party and someone comes into the door and opens fire, as I recognize via gunshots, okay, I immediately move towards the exit. For example, my body is already starting to move towards an exit. I hear gunfire. My assessment part of that is, how close am I to the exit? Can I see them? What are they shooting? This is really important. In the assessment process, I'm looking. I see someone that is in military gear or law enforcement tactical gear, and immediately I recognize that they have long rifles. Okay, an assault rifle, AR-15, AK-47, something that I know, based on my experience, it's really easy for them to point and shoot and be accurate at pretty good distances. So my ability to get to the exit or get to cover quickly, all of a sudden I start considering, do I go for that exit or do I move to cover because the exit is too far? These are things that I start weighing out. So I'm recognizing the gunshots immediately. I'm assessing what the threat is as well as what my options are. And I'm reacting. Almost all of those things are happening at the same time. Okay? A couple seconds is an eternity in a situation like this. So what I am avoiding, because I've trained myself this way, is I'm avoiding lag time. Lag time is what happens when you hear gunshots and you stand there and think, what was that? Is that really gunfire? No way, not at my Christmas party. This whole process of trying to convince yourself that these things are really happening is lag time, and it's keeping you from being able to commit any action whatsoever. So when you finally get done with this analysis of the situation and you recognize that indeed you have an active shooter situation, you've already wasted some precious time. Okay, so we want to avoid the lag time by mentally preparing ahead of time, and that's where I come back to the phrase live tactically. All you need to do is come into any situation and say, hey, now that I'm here, I want to have a great time, but before I settle in, where are the exits? What's cover? What's concealment? What would I do if there were an active shooter here? Go through that process right now. In a few seconds, you're done. You look around. Now you're confident, and go have a great time. But in the moment that the unthinkable happens, you automatically go to, boom, I'm on the move. I'm recognizing, assessing, and reacting all in one motion. And that saves lives. Okay, we've talked about recognize, assess, and react, but I want to come back and spend a little bit more time on the react portion of this. I do a lot of training on active shooter response, some of it corporate, but most of it with schools. And I actually spend the majority of my time working with teachers on the fight back portion. I think most of us believe, well, the guy with the gun wins, and that is not the case whatsoever. And so as you recognize, assess, and react to something, if you don't, in the situation that we're already talking about, if I'm not necessarily by the door, or maybe I am by the door, and it happens to be the door that they just came through, and they opened fire, and they haven't shot me, and I'm close enough to take a few steps and be physically engaged with someone, do I do that? Now, if it's a single shooter, absolutely 100% of the time I advocate that somebody needs to take this person down. In the cases where people have attempted to take the shooters down, we have a very, very high success rate. When people fight back, there is a reduced number of lives lost, and the incident is over much quicker. And I know right now, recently in the last couple months, I've seen a lot more people in the law enforcement community actually coming out and saying this. And I believe the reason they haven't said it in the past or haven't pushed it very much is because everybody's afraid of liability. Everybody's afraid of getting sued if they say fight back. But here's the deal, okay? I'm going to be totally candid with you. If you don't fight back and you just choose to huddle and hide, you will be shot and killed if that person finds you. That's a fact, okay? So you have a way better chance of surviving if you're within a distance that you can actually react and attack and take the fight to the attacker. And I'm going to tell you that most of the time, once you do that and you attempt to subdue that attacker, you're going to get help. The reason that I believe this is because let's just put ourselves on an airplane right now. All of us are on an airplane. And all of a sudden we get some kook who runs up and starts banging on the cockpit door trying to get in there. Okay? Are we going to sit there and watch this? Are you kidding me? We will never, ever let another idiot, terrorist, or wacko take a plane. We're not going to let it happen. We're going to be out of our seats, taking this guy down, and pinning him to the floor and restraining him until we land or until he stops breathing, whichever is the case, because we're not going to be victims of another hijacking. It's not going to happen again. We're going to fight back. I believe that you, like me, we're all ready to quit being victims and start saying, I will do whatever it takes to survive. And so as we recognize, assess, and react, if you have the opportunity on the react portion to attack and fight, do it. We all want to be better prepared. We all want to feel good about going out and participating in life and having a great life. But if you are going to live tactically, which means you are going to proceed throughout any given day and just know that you're prepared and you're ready for a crisis, you have to invest the time where you actually start assessing the environment around you and assessing yourself as well. Am I ready? What do I need to do to be better prepared? I need to work on living tactically. And that, honestly, is an opportunity for me to see the world in a different light, to see things I didn't see before. And when you do that, when you pay attention to your surroundings, I promise you that every day you are going to feel like you've discovered a new world. You're going to see things, smell things, hear things you never did before. But you will be confident in the knowledge that you are prepared for any given situation. In conclusion, I just want to remind you what we've talked about today. And I like the phrase, live tactically. That's the way I live my life. I'm always prepared to recognize, assess, and react in any given situation. And if you live your life like this, you will be absolutely blown away and pleasantly surprised at how amazing life can be when you start paying attention to everything around you. The things that you'll see, the things that you'll hear, even smells that you're missing right now because you're just looking down at your feet when you walk, those things are going to be an amazing discovery. And you won't be living paranoid, you'll be living prepared. And that is a fun way to live your life. Imagine walking down the street or into any building and knowing I am prepared to handle whatever comes my way. How awesome would it be to have that confidence with you all the time? That's the point. You know, at U Tactical, what we tell our followers is, hey, whatever it takes for you to be prepared to be the solution on behalf of the people you care about. Be the solution. Ask yourself every day, what will it take today for me to be the solution for the people I care about? Remember, you can follow us on U Tactical, YOU Tactical, on Instagram as well as Facebook. Look for upcoming videos on YouTube. And also, please feel free. We encourage you to send questions in so that we can address some of your concerns or maybe just answer questions that you have when it comes to how can you be better prepared to be the solution on behalf of the people you care about. Thank you.